Namaste.
Konnichiwa.
Hi, we're from Brockton High School in Brockton, Massachusetts. This is a city of about 100,000 people that's located about 4 hours north of New York City and about 25 minutes or a half hour away from Boston, Massachusetts, which is our capital. We are a public high school and we are part of the International Baccalaureate program, and this is the Junior IB Biology class. This particular class has been working on a Group 4 project, the required Group 4 project, and the topic of the Group 4 project this year was sustainability, because we're doing the ecology option and we need to understand how important it is to truly care for our planet. And now we present the projects of the Group 4 students, Brockton High School.
Hello, I'm Daniel Sheehan.
I'm Jasmine Lamb.
And I'm Claudia Robert. And for our Group 4 project, we did solid waste management.
So our project was a survey of how much trash is being produced inside of our school, how much of it is recyclable, and how much money we can save with that.
So what we did was we went around the school collecting trash from the IRCs, the studies, the classrooms, and we calculated how much trash was actually not recycled from like paper, cardboard, plastic, cans, glass, and then we calculated the mass.
So with these calculations, we determined that about 200 pounds per day is produced of recyclable trash is produced inside of Brockton High School.
So what exactly do we want to do with this information? Well, for one, we want to create an awareness campaign where we go around to each of the studies in the school and we tell students what they can and cannot recycle, because it seems like they don't really know what they can and cannot recycle.
A lot of the stuff that we found inside the trash was just recyclables. And another thing that we wanted to go around and do was add more recycling bins to each and every classroom, because right now they're almost like hidden in a lot of the places, and it's really hard to locate them, find them, and put your trash where it correctly is supposed to go.
I'm Lily Green.
And I'm Jessica Joseph.
Our project was Trash to Treasure, an investigation on the application and microbiology of composting. We wanted our school to be a model green school so that we could institute local changes for a sustainable environment. In order to do this, we need to survey our school to see how much food waste we produced. Then we need to test materials for our trays so that we could integrate seamlessly composting into our school system. And finally, we wanted to change the very microbiology of soil in order to increase plant germination and growth.
In order to survey our school, we collected waste from 3 locations, 2 of our cafeterias and a kitchen. We did this for 10 trials, and our results were that our school produced around 1,000 pounds a month when we extrapolated the information. And the amount of food waste that we produced, it was big enough incentive for our school to establish a school-wide composting program.
Currently, our school uses styrofoam trays, which is detrimental to the environment since styrofoam is a polymer and therefore hard to biodegrade. So we wanted to choose 3 different materials that we could test in order to establish a seamless transition into composting in our school. So the 3 materials we used were A, a styrofoam tray, B, a cardboard egg carton, and 3, a compostable tray. And we tested these materials by placing them within composting bins, and then after a 3-week period, we tested the dry weight to see how much all 3 materials biodegraded.
And for our final project, we decided to change the very microbiology of the soil in order to increase plant germination and growth. So we took various controls and various measures in order to ensure that our different compost bins and composting soils were standardized, and then we inoculated each with a different kind of bacteria. We found that the addition of bacteria greatly increased the plant germination of plants inside the compost. With this, we could even sell to third-party sites at a cost.
Our project has a lot of real-world applications. For instance, the accumulation of food waste within landfills generates greenhouse gases such as methane and carbon dioxide. By using composting, we're able to reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that are produced.
And compost is also helpful by putting back in nutrients from the food, and it recycles it and helps to grow more food.
Hi, I'm Charisma Banks.
I'm Catherine Majea.
And I'm Kesselyn Wilson.
And our project is on the water quality at our school. Being from a large school, there are certain aspects that can be overlooked, including the quality of our water. So we decided to investigate this a little bit more. First, we went to go speak with the water commissioner of the city of Brockton, and he told us about the purification process, the chemicals that they use, and where the water comes from. And then we proceeded to execute our experiment.
To do this experiment, we located where the water fountains were in the school. There are about 30 fountains in our school. We only tested half of them. When sampling, we took 2 samples from the water fountain. We took the initial water flow and then the 30 seconds after the fountain had already been running. Then we took these samples back to our classroom to test the pH and conductivity levels of the water.
In conclusion, all the samples came back within the allowable limits set by the EPA, or the Environmental Protection Agency, all except one from second floor. The conductivity was too high. Since then, we sent the sample back to the water commissioner for testing. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nia Dawson.
Hi, I'm Christina Gianfrido.
We're juniors from the IB class from Brockton High.
So for our group work project, we had to focus it on sustainability. So we decided to look out onto our campus, and not necessarily inside of the school, at the pond that is called Flag Pond. We wanted to see whether or not the water quality of the pond may have been hindering its ability to provide ecosystem services, and pretty much just wanted to evaluate the state of our pond. We wanted to see what health our pond was in, which is why we accurately named it
Preserve the Pond. So what we thought was that the water quality of the flag pond is very poor and that we wouldn't get any ecosystem services provided from the pond.
Which is why we decided to go out and test this theory using macroinvertebrates as indicator species to see whether or not our water quality was truly poor and whether or not that water quality was actually affecting the ecosystem services our pond provides.
So our independent variable was the location, and the dependent variable was the water quality and the microinvertebrates diversity.
So basically, we kind of just went out into the pond and collected some samples using
the kick-neck method,
which was basically you just kick up some of the water and you get a few samples from the different sites, and then you can bring those back and use the insect identification keys to classify them, see if they're tolerant to pollution versus if they're not very tolerant or sensitive.
So what we got was that the water quality is like on the border of poor, but it was fair.
Yeah, so since it was actually fair, it necessarily did not prove our hypothesis. However, it showed that the water quality is not where it needs to be for a pond of this size. That maybe succession is causing this pond to not be able to be as ecologically friendly as it is, or to provide as many services that we could get from it.
Which is stopping the pond, like hindering it, so we wouldn't get any services at all.
We also used our macroinvertebrates to evaluate the Simpson Diversity Index, or the diversity of each site of the pond, and see whether or not diversity was changing as we entered the pond, maybe growing, which it ended up actually growing. Diversity got larger as we were leaving our pond, which shows that in our pond, it's almost like a nursery. Like different insects are allowed to breed, and then we have more diversity occurring within our pond, which is actually a service that it provides for their communities.
So some of the improvements that we would like to have is probably warmer weather, and probably during each season, we like to compare the results of the water quality as well.
We would really like in the future to try to get our pond dredged and maybe bring it back to its natural state. Since now eutrophication from different areas around it, like Thorny Lee's golf course, an area that's around here, as well as a few of the fields, may be causing our pond to have unnatural succession. Basically, it's succeeding faster than it needs to be, and that's causing it to not be able to provide the ecosystem services that we need.
Hello, my name is Dhruvi Patel.
Hi, I'm Hallie Jeremy, and our project pertains to the sustainability of Dunkin Donuts. Dunkin Donuts is a major food corporation in North America that sells breakfast foods and beverages. Dunkin Donuts uses polystyrene and plastic cups to hold their beverages, but it turns out that 96% of Dunkin Donuts cups end up in landfills every single week. So, since polystyrene takes 200,000 years to biodegrade, we needed to solve this problem.
So to come up with solution, we came up with 5 different types of cup materials. 5 there being PLA, sugarcane fiber, polyethylene terephthalate, post-consumer recycled fiber, and polystyrene, which is recycled polystyrene. So PLA would be a good solution if it wasn't made out of corn. There's ethical issues towards that, and that being starvation in the world. And also, it's made out of genetically modified corn, which is has a lot of controversies. Next is sugarcane fibers. It's made out of the stalk that's left over from the juice. And that would be a perfect choice, but it's too expensive. The next one would be polyethylene terephthalate, which is recycled plastic, which is one of the best choices because most companies will accept it once Dunkin Donuts starts using it. Next one is post-consumer recycled fiber, which is just paper, recycled paper, and this is also one of the great choices, but it's only 24% recycled material, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if you think about it, Dunkin Donuts uses 100% virgin material, which is much better than that. And next is polystyrene, which is recycled polystyrene, where it's just using polystyrene again, and that doesn't really solve an issue, it just puts it for later on. So that's about it.
After taking into consideration the cost and effectiveness of these cups, we ended up choosing polyethylene terephthalate and recycled fiber to test to see which one would be most plausible for a company like Dunkin Donuts. Our test consisted of chai tea at 100 degrees poured into the fiber cups and the Dunkin Donuts styrofoam cup to see if it was just as effective as the styrofoam cup. We actually found that the fiber cup added sweetness to the beverage, so considering that we hadn't figured out why the sweetness was added, we decided not to use that cup. And then the next test consisted of 30-degree Fahrenheit chai tea in the plastic cup, which is the recycled PET cup, versus the plastic cup that Dunkin Donuts uses. We found that there was no change in the beverage nor the cup, so that was a great solution to alternate for the cup that Dunkin Donuts currently uses. We concluded that there was difficulty in finding replacements for the polystyrene, which is the major issue that Dunkin Donuts faces, but we do have a solution for the plastic cups, which actually makes a difference because that will be helping us be more sustainable by not using the completely virgin material plastic.
Okay, thank you so much.
So what is sustainability? Sustainability is convincing Dunkin Donuts to change their cups. Making sure water is safe for consumption.
Reducing food waste in both our school and our earth.
Being aware of the state of our natural resources.
Learning the best way to compost to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Sustainability is the ability of current generations to use resources so that future generations will have resources to use for their own needs. So why does sustainability matter?
Because we are the future. We are the ones who will inherit the earth. And we have to work together to make it a better place. And the first step is to acknowledge that we are what makes the world a better place.
This is what we're doing for sustainability. Now it's your turn. The world is in all of our hands. Take care of it.